Alexa, play the Business and Beyond podcast.
Playing the Business and Beyond podcast on Next Gen Media.
Coming to you from the Apogee Grafix studios, this is the Business and Beyond podcast on Next Gen Media. I'm Ashton.
I'm Tony.
Tyler is out today. No specific reason, I guess, scheduling conflicts, you want to say.
Yeah.
He's just not in for this show.
Yeah, we just different days for doing the show here, but...
yeah, we can't give you all Tyler for free. So.
Yeah. Man, that is a good-looking hat you got there.
Oh, yeah? My new Apogee Grafix hat.
Yeah.
I guess it's not new for me. I've had it for a while. If you look at the camera. This is one of them. You have one on, too, as well?
This is a one of one. This one's not for sale.
Oh. There's a number, though.
Not yet.
No, I know working in sales, there's always a number. You just have to find the crazy number.
Yeah.
And then that just relaxes them to the idea of doing it.
Yeah.
You
can get these hats if you like. The one Ashton's got the black one, or the we have one that's all black with a gray front. I can grab
It's back
that
there. Yeah, it's back there.
Get that one there.
We'll do this real quick, and then we'll leave it up for...
Either one of those you can get at apogeegrafix.com. So, little plug there.
Yeah, and that is your company.
Yes.
So kind of tying into what we're talking about today. That's your side hustle, as if you will, as well as the podcast. But you have a full-time job, as I do too.
Yeah.
So, how does that affect your full-time job?
I think it keeps me more motivated. Things that I learn with my side hustle, I kind of carry that over to my full-time, as far as running a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I treat my full-time job as if it were my business, and that's the mindset I keep going into it. But I do tread lightly. Not very many people or anyone know at my company that I have that side hustle, that I have Apogee Grafix. I don't know exactly how it would go over. Some companies, the owners don't really, I don't know how to, not that they care or don't care, but, some companies, they have an issue with that, that they feel like that's a conflict of interest.
If you took a random poll, you would probably find that most people feel you would put your company over your full-time job.
Right.
When push comes to shove, even though most cases you have time for both.
Yeah.
But there's always conflicts.
Yeah.
So with Rhino Sports, I don't necessarily try to hide it. I mean, I work for a pretty big company, so it doesn't come up with higher ups the little few times I see them, but everybody that works at the yard I work at know that I do Rhino Sports. They know I do the podcast. It's just common knowledge, and nobody thinks of, I don't think they're high enough up where it clicks in their head. Or they're not high enough up in the company, or haven't worked for the company long enough to really, I guess, care.
Yeah.
That, like, hey, maybe you should be paying more attention to this. If anything ever happened where I forgot about something, nobody's thinking, well, if you weren't running your side businesses or your podcast, nobody ever thinks that. But yeah. I'm kind of like you, though. I think you hear so much complaining in certain situations about what upper management is doing or whatever. And a lot of times when I don't understand what's going on, I just give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It seems simple to think, well, if they would just do it this way, or this way, it would, people complain, why do they do it that way? Well, there's factors you probably don't know about. So from being, from the point of view of a small business owner, I can give them the benefit of the doubt. Saying there's more going on, and they don't have time, or they don't need to tell us everything that's going on. We're not shareholders in this company, so they can do whatever they want. But I think sometimes it does. It the word I'm trying to get there. I'm treading right around the point I'm trying to make. But most people who aren't business oriented, mind oriented, usually don't think that way. So maybe you can get more invested in your full-time job because you're used to being a business owner. You know kind of how little things work.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you think you know what you're doing more than other people because you have that point of view and you may be right.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like. I feel like I've become more invested in my job. I've worked there 5.5 years. And I think, especially since doing the podcast, it's not like I'm looking for a way out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I want to build my business and my stuff where I would have the option to quit if I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But that's not where I'm at. I'm just looking at building everything I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I actually ran into that situation on Friday that I had a couple calls for some signage projects, and I just let those go to voicemail, and then I returned those calls, when it was a better time when I was away from my full-time. I think sometimes that can be hard for people to get by, and I would be honest. I didn't feel like I had to explain that to the customers that I called back, but I would be honest with them to let them know if it mattered that, hey, I have a full-time. That's the reason I didn't call you, or didn't take your call. It took me a couple hours to get back to you. And I think that's sometimes where you do see a lot of smaller businesses. They try to put on that front, which is fine. I don't think it's a problem. I, at a point, do put on that front as, hey, this is my full-time, right? Mm-hmm. You want people to take you serious. And sometimes if it's like, oh, yeah, it's my side hustle, or this is, just a thing I do on the side, then people sometimes don't take that as serious. But I did have that situation where I kind of had to decide, I actually was working and didn't even know I missed the calls, honestly. And then later I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, yeah, I have these calls. I'm like, I'll check the message later and I'll call them back. But
yeah, sometimes you don't, you answer your phone at work and then you realize what it is and you run outside to talk, and, people start their gossiping. Oh, he's got a job interview, or he's trying to.
Yeah, well, so I think that's the exact point that we're getting at. And you and I have discussed this topic a lot, that if your boss knew or your supervisor knew that you had a side hustle, is their first instinct to think, oh, he's trying to build this so he can leave. He's not vested here. He's not 100% into this company because he's got something else going. And I don't think that's the case most of the time. I think, a lot of people are trying to give themselves a better opportunity, create a better life, for their family. And all in all, I think that side hustles, what am I trying to say? You're using the side hustle maybe for additional income to what you have. Because most people, their side hustles, they may stay really busy in it in their off time, but a lot of times you're not making enough money to just flat out quit your full-time job, especially when you get used to having the full-time pay and your side hustle pay.
Yeah, and it benefits if you happen to have that.
Yeah, and now you get rid of the full-time. Well, now you're only in your side hustle. You lose a lot of that income. In some instances, there are times that your business is booming and you have opportunities to make a lot more than where you were at.
Yeah, and like my full-time job, I have a company vehicle, and it would be a big jump to switch and do my side hustle full-time. And let's see, working in sales, I always answer my phone, even if I don't know who it is, because most of the time it is just some random person who got my number from another. Sure. So a lot of times I'll get out and walk out, usually because I share an office with another guy. So usually I don't, a little common courtesy. It's like I'll just walk out if I don't need to be on the computer. So, but usually at times when it's a call from a side hustle, however you want to say it, I'll go ahead and take that call, and usually I don't put the front on that this is my full-time job, but I'll tell them I'm not at the office where I can look at this right now, but I'll give you a call back later.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody, if I would told higher ups, I've told some people about my side hustles, but they probably, like you said, didn't think it was a big deal. Like, okay, yeah, you have a little side thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't think any of them would, any higher up bosses would really care. I don't know that they would take it to the extent thinking, oh yeah, you probably, or thinking of the benefits like we're talking about. They probably just don't care one way or another, because it's a lot to build a business, to to really be able to pay yourself, and especially even if you could pay yourself, just have the security that a full-time job
Right.
offers.
Right. Yeah. And so you were talking about, I think you brought it up, that, well, let me take a step back. So I had a company reach out to me, wanting to hire me away from my full-time. And a lot of the things they were talking about, like the guy that I was, I guess, more or less a phone interview, you could say, he was asking me questions, and he was talking about profit sharing and bonuses and how that worked, and it wasn't just about landing projects, but it was actually profiting from the projects, that you wouldn't be eligible for a profit sharing if there's not really profit. And I guess the way he was putting it sounded like he had issues in the past with employees that would win projects and then they would want their profit sharing from it, even though there was no profit to be made. They undercut the job. They missed a lot of stuff. And through that conversation, I completely understood what he was saying. I get it, as being small business owners and just having that business mindset. And that's what I told him. I was like, I understand, how businesses work, and I understand that if there's no profit, there's no profit, and there's nothing to share if there's not a profit.
Yeah.
And he seemed really surprised that I had that point of view, and I think that's from having the side hustle, that's the point of view you bring to any situation you're in, is you think of it as you're that business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is, whether, bad employees, it's, time being killed that, you need to utilize to be profitable. A lot of things I'm sure you deal with, in sales, you've gotten better because you had the sales experience from your side hustle, right? And
that would probably be if I went and just straight up asked my boss, what does he think about that?
Yeah.
Like, to give me opinion one way or the other, he probably would say something to that extent, like, well, you're a salesman, so that, if anything, I think that helps. You have that drive. And we have another salesman who has a side hustle and has his own business. Legit has, an entity and everything, but he has no will for it to be his full time. He's older, and he's in his 50s, and it's for a dental clinic. They have a bunch of different locations around DFW and Texas, and they cover all the mowing and some of the some construction type situations. And now with COVID, anytime they have somebody that's positive that was there, they have to go spray and all this stuff. And I've helped them with that, do a little extra stuff on the side. And that is specifically his side hustle. He has no interest in making it his full time. It's just extra money.
Yeah.
And he likes that. And it's hard work, but that's extra stuff you can do on the side. And that really doesn't interfere very much, I wouldn't think, because most of the stuff during the day be, hey, can you come do this? Or, hey, make sure you're doing this. But most of that's, you can't mow in the middle of the day. You're going to have to do it after work anyways. There's not a lot of quoting or selling products during business hours like you and I would have to, and things we'd have to entail. But, from his point of view, nobody cares. Everybody knows what he does. He'll show up in his work vehicle with a mower in the back. And now, upper management might have a problem with that, using his work vehicle, which it's our vehicle we're allowed to use for our stuff. But, driving around with a mower in the back, that's, we have logos on our trucks to help advertise for us. But, as people see that, they think our company
there's
is
some liability issues
they look at our company like, oh, that's a mowing company.
Yeah.
So that there might be something there. He didn't try to hide it, but for a different reason,
Well, I think with that, you mentioned that where we have kind of sales things that sometimes things need to be done. I've really utilized with Facebook especially, but a lot of the social media is scheduling posts. That's helped a lot. Like earlier today, I spent a little time and I scheduled out posts in all of next week. I have some posts now. Things will come up and I'll, make a quick post to post. But as far as having scheduled, I have those scheduled out for the next week. So during the week, I can be working my full time, and that can still be going on. And look, have an active, company running with those scheduled posts. And then I'll spend my evenings. I mean, as anyone that runs a business, a small business, or is an entrepreneur knows and understands that there's a lot of sleepless nights sometimes. There's early mornings, and that's usually what helps me. My mind works, and I sleep on things, and then when I get up in the morning, I have a lot of ideas. So I actually set my alarm, and I get up about an hour earlier than I have to for my full time, and I come into the office, and I spend about an hour building website, building my online store, designing, quoting projects, shooting out, sending emails. And then those are things that gives time for all of that to work through, emails, replies for emails. And then when I get off in the afternoons, then I can start replying back or following up on some of that stuff. I think it's all about how you utilize your time. I mean, sleep is very important, and we've looked at the studies. We've talked about them on here, how important it is to get good night's rest. But there are times that I'm up till midnight and I'm back up at 5 a.m. That if I'm working on building my website, or I'm organizing, or I'm trying to build price list, I'm checking prices. Through COVID especially, availability of products and the cost of products has changed drastically.
Yeah.
So I've had to adjust what I have going. I mean, there's a lot of print stuff that I've offered in the past, and I would like to continue to offer. I can't get the products, so I'm kind of having to steer my advertising and stuff toward, in other directions to what products I can get right now, just to keep business moving, to keep things building. I mean, to be 100% completely honest, my side hustle for me isn't just my side hustle. I mean, this is my, one of many retirement plans. This is something that one day I want to be my full time. I mean, I just enjoy it so much that I am working to build it when the time's right.
Yeah.
That time could be tomorrow. With the economy, it's kind of volatile right now with COVID. This has been a rough year. There's a lot of businesses going out of business. A lot of companies have struggled. So my feeling about it is that you should have a side hustle, have something going just to protect yourself if your company does go out. Because then that helps you from having to scramble and run out and try to find a quick job, right? Just to take anything. I mean, I'm in a position, sure, I would take a slight pay cut, but I could run my side hustle and I could build it a little more until I could find something else. Or maybe I find out that my side hustle will take off. You don't know for sure, but I think it's good to have that side hustle. It's kind of a backing. It's kind of an insurance policy for you to give you something to do.
Yeah, and everybody at work knows me for having side hustles because I Ubered for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I never at any point wanted that to be a full-time job, but I just did it for side money, and it was decent money. I can't even imagine what it is like now to Uber with all the COVID.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, but I feel like you hit the nail on the head there. Is, if anything, just have it as a backup plan. Like, even if you never plan on wanting to run your own business as your full time, it gives you that buffer from being laid off or your company going under, just to find the next spot, or just having it as a retirement plan. Yeah. I know that's something where you can either retire early or retiring is just, okay, I'm quitting my full-time job, retiring. I never want to just sit at home and do nothing. It'd be good when you retire, maybe slow down a little bit. If you're already running your side hustle, then there is a lot of slowing down, but you can still be right in the middle of it. And then if you have it set up where people are working under you or whatever, you can still take your vacations or travel or whatever. But I've never been a fan of just deciding, okay, once I retire, I'm done. I'm going to sit around the house and get a hobby.
It could be a great, second or third or fourth stream of income at retirement, which I'm 100% for. I think that no one should just sit, there's all the jokes of, Social Security won't be here when we're there. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But don't sit around and just wait for that. I mean, that's no life to live just to gain Social Security. your
I make
401
more a week than what a Social Security check would be for a
Right.
month. It's
Yeah.
like, that's not going to.
don't solely rely on your 401k. I mean, that's a stock thing. That money can go up and down. Things can crash. I mean, have some mutual funds. Have that.
And don't rely on your side hustle either.
No, I think you should have
Especially if it's
several
just a side
different. And we've
hustle.
talked about it. I think Anthony brought it up when he came in the studio with us, and you need to have multiple streams of income to help out. And it's good to do it while you're working to have multiple streams of income, and it's good after you're done working at retirement to have multiple streams of income.
And if you're able to, I'm not saying everybody can have side hustles and extra things going on, but if you manage your time well, it's good to do those things, because I find that I'm very productive when I do. The only time I don't feel productive is when I'm doing nothing, when I'm just sitting around watching TV, which sometimes you need some of that, just time just to do nothing.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like doing this work takes away from this. If anything, I want to pay more attention to that after I'm done with this, put more focus on it. The saying, if you need something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
Just stay busy all the time. If you can stay in that focused, productive mode, that's how you have to stay productive.
That's exactly
and focused.
it.
Don't get burned out. Don't, if you're struggling to do this, you got to go do this, and, it's better to reevaluate situations like that. Don't get yourself burned out. You can only do what you can do.
Exactly.
But there's nothing wrong with having 2, 3, 4 things going on.
And sometimes I've found, and I think this is good practice, is to keep yourself busy. And sometimes when there are things, especially with your full-time, if there's things that you maybe dislike doing, you procrastinate about certain things, but there's certain things you don't, is really stay focused on the ones that bring you a lot of enjoyment. And then just kind of carry that momentum over,
Yeah.
Like I was asked by someone, not going to throw out too many specifics, to kind of put together a test bid for them, right? Almost an audition type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of been putting it off. I've kind of been dreading it. It's kind of a nerve-wracking thing, to do this for another company. They've said, oh, hey, we'll pay you for your time, but we want you to do this for us, right? So it's kind of an audition. We want to offer you a position, right? And you never turn opportunities away. You just take a look at it and see. But I kind of put that down. I kind of procrastinated, and I've been putting it off. And I had things I came over earlier today and helped you on your, and then I had some things with my company I needed to get done, and just a lot of things, right? So I took that momentum and did some of those, and then I carried that momentum instead of just being like, okay, I'm putting everything away. I rolled right into that. And I actually was able to knock out several hours worth of work on that project today. The same if I'm designing something, there's the times that I'm like, oh man, this job's it's gonna take a lot. I put it off. But I try to help build momentum in things that I enjoy doing more, and then try to roll into that. And I seem to, that momentum carries me through it. And then I get to a point I'm like, this isn't so bad, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, like you said, give that old saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. That rings true when you can carry that momentum through everything that you do.
Yeah, because I think once you get into that mode, like, okay, we're, taking your shoes off, you're getting home, you sit down, you're like, I'm just going to rest for a minute or whatever. Then you just chill. You get stuck in a TV show. Your body just knows, okay, we're in this mode. This is the mode we're going to be in. And I was watching a video the other day. It was giving me the top 10 or whatever theories about, I don't remember what it was called. I'll have to look at, maybe we'll link it in below. But it was really productive type video, up your productivity. And it was these studies and how the brain works and things. And one of them was you have to, when you have inspiration or something pop in your head, just count to 5 and do it. Because after 5 seconds, your brain pushes it away. It not only pushes it away, it says, no, we're not going to do this. If you've ever gotten quick motivation, then you're like, you know what, I'm not going to. Just do it. It doesn't matter. But once you start doing it, you're going to keep doing it. And it's the same old, the 80-20, bro, get to help me maybe. It's where the 20% of your effort goes to really 80% of the success or
Okay.
the productivity and vice versa.
Uh-huh.
It's because really when you start working on something, you get a lot of it done, then you're really working hard to finish it. And it's really
Yeah.
not that much help to do it. So just start doing something. Anything pops in your head. It really goes for anything, not just, being productive and
Yeah.
your ventures you already have going on. But once you have that thought, don't second guess yourself. Just go.
That you talk about that, and that actually makes me kind of think like how a lot of businesses should really start, and a lot of like you have these ideas, right, to build a business, and like kind of with the podcast when we started, it was kind of we talked about it like a little bit, and it was like, yeah, maybe down the road, maybe we take 6 months, we build a studio, we do this, we put all this together, right? It'll take time. But then we started going and we started pushing through it and made, kind of like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But we made it. We pushed harder on it and then got here, and it was more of a benefit. The same with building my company. With Apogee Grafix, I sat on it for like a year. I came with the company. I started, but it was very slow. I would do a little here, a little there, but I was very...
Which
I
is good on
procrastinated
its
a lot.
own end. If you can just do something.
Yeah, I could have been much more productive with it, and I could have done more, like you're saying. But I got to a point where I was kind of like, yeah, maybe I won't do that. I started it, but maybe I won't. I won't ever get around to it. But I mean, you pushed me some, and then through the podcast and this, this whole COVID thing, I found additional time, and so it was something that I really started pushing hard again. I've been doing this for a long time. This is just a rebrand of a company, and man, it just is taken off and blown up. So, like you said, it just within 5 seconds, that's great. That's great advice. I mean, I've never heard that before, that you do that, that you should do that.
Yeah, I'll have to show you. It's
You'll have to, well, we definitely need to
YouTube.
link that below
It's,
for people to see.
and I can't believe I haven't told you, but I've only watched a few videos. It's maybe a week to 2 weeks that I've even been on this YouTube page, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically, it's almost for like, they coined themselves videos for future billionaires or whatever, which I'm not thinking I'm going to be a billionaire one day, but it's got a lot of good advice for basically what we talk about on the show, just being productive, whether it's business or whatever. It's productivity, getting shit done that you want to get done. And there's, I can't believe I can't remember any of the other mind theories, whatever you want to, I can't remember what that video was called, but that was one that stuck out to me. Was 5 seconds. Just when you get a thought, don't even think about it. Just say, close your eyes, count to 5, and go do it.
Yeah.
Because when you're feeling productive or creative, just start doing it. Get the things going, and you'll start doing it. Because, like you said, when you're procrastinating, it's really not. You're overworking it in your head. Like it's not really that hard, whatever it is. It's not as hard as you're thinking it's going to be. And the hardest part of it is just doing it, or starting and doing it. And once you get to do it, you just work on it.
I think it's that way with just about anything in life, is the start. Starting's the hardest part of anything. It's of diets, of exercising, of, starting a new business, going for interviews. Like starting is the hardest part. Once you start it, that momentum carries you, and you're like, man, why did I procrastinate?
Well,
why
you
did
see
I
your
put that
goal,
off?
especially weight loss.
Yeah.
You see what you want to do. You're like, okay, that's great. You're like, well, then you got to do this, and then you have to do this, and then you just kind of backtrack. Like with this podcast, I mean, thinking back, it didn't seem that hard at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at the final product of doing an episode or starting to do the podcast and what we want to talk about, but there was all this starter stuff, like you said, building the studio, and which really, like I said, looking back, didn't seem like this huge ordeal. I mean, it was one long day on a Saturday, and then the rest was just, I mean, you did a lot of stuff while I wasn't here, but a lot of it was just piecing it together as we go. Just do a little bit, just be productive, just keep it going. And it can be, like at the beginning, I probably would have thought, okay, if we actually end up getting this done and started, it's probably not what we think it's going to be. And it's far beyond what I thought it was going to be. But it's just getting started doing it. You get real motivated when you see the end product and see doing exactly what we're doing now. And you have all these talking points we want to talk about, and but we can't. It's like trying to open the jar, the lid, but there's something on top of it. Like, we have to get it all out, but
Yeah.
get the studio done, get this done, and then get the equipment and all that, and just doing a little bit at a time, just being productive, move forward, have a list of things you need to do, and like kind of what you said earlier, do the stuff you're going to like doing, that's going to be fun doing it.
Build that momentum.
Because you just look at
Then you
the
can
stuff you're
you
dreading.
can check those things off the list.
Yeah, so when you get to the stuff you're dreading, there's only a couple of them.
Yeah.
Now, when you have 50 things to do and you only dread 2 or 3 of them, but you're looking at those 2 or 3, like, man, I got 50 things to do. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
Just do all the easy stuff. Get all the easy stuff out of the way, and then once you get to all that stuff, you're moving. You're productive.
Yeah.
You just have a couple of things left to do.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you get to them, like we said earlier, it's not really as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like today, I mean, I guess we can tease this a little bit. I was helping you build our second podcast studio.
Yeah.
Today, and we were talking about a little bit. It's like, hey, later this evening we'll record this podcast, and we didn't even know what we were going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We had no topic. I mean, it would have been very easy. And to say it didn't cross my mind, I mean, that would be crazy, because it did cross my mind. It was like, yeah, maybe we just don't do it we just don't, today. Let's just put it off. But we didn't, we pushed through. It's like, yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Just think about it. And this evening we'll get together. We'll figure out, we'll come up with something that we want to talk about. But we didn't procrastinate about it. We just said, this is what we're going to do. Right.
Yeah.
And you showed up and it's like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I had an idea, and it's, this we've talked about previously. We have a lot, like you said, we have so many things we want to talk about. It's just, what motivation do we have each week of what we want to talk about, or may try to tie into things that are going on in our current lives, or things we
I'll
see
call
other
you
people.
and say, have this. This is somehow a show.
Yeah.
That we probably have to think about and do it weeks or months.
And that's what this one was too. I mean, I think for both of us, having side hustles and working. And I feel like we're in 2 different situations. You're in a situation where your full-time company, for the most part, doesn't care. And I'm in one that my full-time company will say they don't care, but in the background, they're kind of like thinking, well, is this guy going to try to leave us,
Yeah.
So, I think this is a big, and I think that if more entrepreneurs or more people that had side hustles really sat back and thought about this, it would probably spur up a lot of good conversation about this type of topic.
Yeah, I think if you have a side hustle or side business, whatever status you're at there, whether you're like, yes, one day you kind of do want to be on your own or whatever, to talk to your management about that. Ask them their opinion on it, because one thing could happen. You could be surprised and they could tell you, oh, no, this is great for these reasons, and it motivates you even more.
Yeah.
Or maybe they tell you, no, that's not a good idea, or whatever, and you can kind of enlighten them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in most situations, it's more often than not the case, our opinion, what we feel in this situation, that it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are cases of people that take advantage of their situations and their jobs where they're able to do, whether it's flexibility or whatever, able to work on their side hustle more, or, people who use their full-time job company equipment, whether you want, print stuff off or use that stuff for their side hustle. A lot of times it can be a toxic situation.
Yeah.
Especially if they just want to get out of it. They don't care about their full-time job. But I don't know. I just think if you have the mindset to be a business owner, you don't really think that way.
No, I know. I think you're right. I don't think that, having that entrepreneur mindset, you just want to be successful. And like mentioned earlier, I think that you just want to be successful in everything you're involved in. Mm-hmm. And you want to take that mindset into, like, for me, in the situation that I'm in, I wish at my full time that I had more say and maybe my thoughts could be heard more, because I think I have a lot of good ideas from a business perspective for the company. But they just kind of get shunned and put down, right? So, and I think that's why I feel like if my company knew I had an active side hustle going, that they probably wouldn't like it so much. But a lot of that, I think, comes down to insecurity. So, like, well, let me ask you. You have your company, Rhino Sports. It's pretty much your setup a one-man show. I mean, you don't have any employees right now. you can do a lot of it yourself. But if you were to have an employee, would you care if they had a side hustle? Maybe similar or completely different from what they're doing for you.
I might care if it was a, same industry or something, like kind of competition type situation. It's hard to imagine that, because it would, like, what capacity is that employee? Is it a part-time employee? What, I would have to feel that I rely a lot on that employee if I went to the extension to hire somebody, and I assume I'm still doing my full-time job or whatever. Maybe I'm not, but if I'm hiring one person, that means I need that person. So, I mean, I can.
Well, let's just say theoretically.
Theoretically.
If you have multiple employees, like if you just have one employee that has a side hustle, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, obviously you have a side hustle and you hope that your employer doesn't care. But if you're solely running your business and you have employees, do you care if one of them has a side hustle?
I would like to think that I wouldn't, just to not be hypocritical. Just thinking off, yeah, good for them. But then you're thinking, okay, they take a phone call and they have to walk out of the room. I mean, normally I wouldn't care. You don't know what that phone call. It could be personal, whatever. Or they show up late to work, or they have to leave early and they say it's a doctor's appointment or whatever. In the back of your mind, you're probably thinking, I wonder if they're going to work on something to
would it change your mind if they were open to you and came to you and said, hey, I have this going. Can you be flexible with me? Can we work out an agreement where I can be flexible with you and be honest with you when I need to take off for things that come up with my side hustle, or I need to take an occasional phone call? Can we make an agreement as far as pay or hours? However that. I mean, obviously you don't want to pay them to be running their business, but if you could come up if they were open and came to you wanting that flexibility,
I feel like I'd be fine with it, because the little insecurities you're talking about, are they doing this? Are they going to leave me? Are they going to do that? If they were planning on doing that, I don't think they'd become telling me anything about that. They'd be trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Kind of like in your situation. I mean, I know details about your situation more, but you're not going to go talk to your boss in that particular setting, because, I mean, not that you're trying to leave her, but there's more, it's more complicated than the situation we're presenting.
Right.
But you don't want them to know, because you think they would feel this way. So that's what I'm thinking. If if employees coming to me straightforward, and I have the benefit of owning a small business and us talking about it now, because you have to throw that into the situation. I can't just take myself out of here and put it. But if they're being forthcoming with me, I can't imagine just putting myself in their position. If I want to hide something from my company, if I don't want them to know this, then there's more to it, I guess, in that situation. So if you're being forthcoming, if they're being honest with me about this, they're probably being honest with me just about anything.
Yeah. You said that you would be worried if they were doing something the same as yours, right? And I'm not knocking it. Like, I get that. Yeah, I get it. If it becomes competition. But just so I can make the point, I mean, you brought that up and it made me start thinking about it. Like, I've helped numerous friends start very similar to the same businesses as mine. And I've helped promote them. I've helped build them. I mean, I've given them old design programs I had. I've helped them design. I've really done a lot. Like, basically gave them a business plan, right? And I didn't think about it. And anyone that's listened to the show, I deep down is in my soul, man, I can tell you, and this is no bullshit, I don't feel like I have any competition. I truly, really, I know it sounds like boastful. It sounds like a bunch of BS. I really don't feel like I have competition. Like, I do my thing and other companies do their thing. If you said, hey, I want to go start a decal company, great. You need help? Do you need insight? Do you need, let me tell you some things that I've run into in the past. That's how I look at it, right? Because I know what I know, And I don't tell everybody everything. You know, obviously I would help you and give you information you needed, positive, useful information. But I don't tell you all my ins and outs. I don't tell you all of my secrets. Obviously, I have things that I know in the industry that some people don't know. And I'm sure there's things that other people know that I don't. But I truly do feel that way. So my thought on that is, if I have a group of employees and maybe they have aspirations to start the same business, or it could be a different business, I would be, just because my entire life, I don't think there's ever been a point in my life that I've just worked a job and haven't had something going as a little side hustle of some sort. I would really be supportive of that. Obviously, when you come down to, like, you're paying an hourly employee, like, you know, how much time are you spending on my stuff? How much time are you spending on your stuff?
That's kind of where I came from it in the situation.
Yeah.
If the situation was this employee came to me before I hired them and they wanted to start their own thing, and I'll say, well, I need some help. Why don't I teach you? Not for the sense that, hey, that's my competition one day, but it would be more the sense of, if I'm not paying attention to them all the time, and it's not that they came to me and told me this. That'd be completely different. Like I said, if they're showing transparency, it's different. But if I just knew on the side they were doing something, I was thinking, well, while I'm paying them, what are they doing to me that would be detrimental to get their thing started? Not necessarily screwing me over, but I'm paying them to do that. Like, you know, they get a call, hey, how much, you know, for this? And they know my prices. They know how I do things. Well, they could undercut me because they know all this sensitive information. That's kind of where I was coming from.
Well,
like, if somebody was working for me and said, hey, man, I like working for you. I'm really entrepreneurial type, and I really like this. I think I want to start my own. I would probably be more fine with that. I think, again, I feel like I'd probably be a little more cautious about it and watch them a little closer than if it was just their own little thing that had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, if they just quit and went on, did their own thing, great. More power to them. But while they're working for me, I think that's if you don't know that person,
that's a different topic. I mean, that's obviously an ethical topic.
Yeah.
That would be a good show topic for us one day. The ethics of that.
Ethics of anything.
But obviously there's ethics to it. I mean, and some people are going to have good ethics and some people are going to have bad ethics. It's going to be, you're going to run into people like that. I would say, just in a general sense, I would support anyone. Like I said, if I had an employee that maybe was an installer for me and they're like, hey, I'd really like to run my own business one day. I think I would, if they have that motivation, I would try to find out how can I utilize them in my company with that, right? Like, hey, maybe I bump you up into a higher role. Maybe you have way more to offer than what I'm giving you the opportunity to, right?
Yeah, and you can really make your imprint on, because some people are like that. Not every entrepreneur is the same in any sense, really. It's what's motivating them. Maybe it's just having an imprint or knowing that they're making a difference in something. Because a lot of guys don't want to run the books or do all this little stuff that's necessary to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because that's a real fancy term, and people look up at, like, man, that'd be awesome to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of little stuff that go into it that nobody wants to do.
Right.
So it just depends what kind. Maybe you can put them in a number 2 role, whether you only have 2 employees or not. But almost, you're not the owner, but you have just as much say. Pretty much, we can talk it out and dialogue about things, and maybe that gets their niche. That's what they want.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and that would be. I think that's how I would handle that situation if I knew I had somebody like that. I would absolutely support them in anything they were doing, but if they had that itch for the industry that I'm in, I would definitely try to work that in to get them in a role. Because like we talked about, you want different streams of income when you retire. Somebody's got to take over for you. You want to sit back and just collect and someone else be running the business for you so you can work on the business and not in it. You need somebody like that is like-minded. And I think that's the best way. I mean, bring somebody up from the bottom and teach them how you do it and allow them to run your business for you.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode it is, but it's literally titled "Work on Your Business, Not in It."
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point, because there's so much thanks to going out and finding business, or whatever it is, whatever industry you work in, but you have to have business, and then whether it's working on marketing or going door to door or whatever, but you can't just go find that business and then come back and build it or create it or whatever it is, your product or service.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're done with that. Now you got to go back out because you don't have anything. You need something constantly flowing in.
Yep. I've talked about it a lot of times. I believe on the show I've even talked about it, that those were the struggles I had early on in my print business, was trying to go out and sell and win projects, bring them in. Now I got to produce them. And then I produce them, I collect on them. I've got money, things are good. Now I'm out trying to sell again. I'm running out of my money that I had. It was a roller coaster for me, trying to build that consistency. And it's hard when you're trying to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
When you get to the point that you can expand and grow your business is when things become a lot easier. Even though you bring in the headaches of employees or other people being involved in the business, it helps you expand how much work you can take in, because one person, for me, I could only take in so much work because I only have so many hours in a day. And there were a lot of times, you work around the clock. I had a lot of projects, in a 3 or 4 day period. I may only have 8 hours of sleep in that amount of time, just because I had stuff that had to be produced, and it was just me.
And some people, I would think the number one answer, or if you ask a question, why do you want to be an entrepreneur, own your own business? The number one answer would be they want to be their own boss.
Yeah.
So being your own boss doesn't mean you're taking care of everything. Be boss to many.
Yeah.
And let them do it all, because, a lot of people, can, whether they can cook or they build these or make these, and you think, oh man, you should just have your own business. Well, not everyone can run a business.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some people, like I think in that same episode, you just figure out what you're good at, what you can cover. This is what you do.
Yeah.
And then hire people, whether it's outsourcing that or hiring somebody for that or whatever, find somebody to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, we can tie it all back in the end. I think it's kind of getting off topic, but taking what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's be your own boss or maybe it's logistics or something that's your niche, or the itch you have to scratch. Making sure you have all the other stuff you don't want to deal with covered is pretty much the way to make sure you can succeed, because doing all that stuff you don't want to do is a good way to unmotivate you or demotivate you.
That'll push you out of your business when you have those things that drag you down, that you don't enjoy to do. Either you're not good at, or you just don't enjoy doing it. Those are things, whether it's the business side, maybe you're a more technical, hands-on, you like the product you're producing or the industry you're in, but you don't like the business side. You don't like the taxes. You don't like dealing with contracts or
like we were talking in that other episode, go out and find the business, and then you hire people to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe your business is building birdhouses or something. That's all you want to do. You don't want to go out. So you can hire a salesperson to go out and sell your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're the boss or whatever, but that's all you want to do is you want to build, but you don't want to work for somebody.
Yeah.
So you can be the boss and do all that, whatever it is you want to do.
Or maybe even a good point, this is a little off topic, but if you didn't want to go out and hire
beyond.
Yeah. If you didn't want to hire someone to sell for you, maybe you get on something like an Etsy or eBay that pretty much sells the product for you.
Yeah.
Right? You would set up a page or set up a store. I think you can even do it through Amazon. You set something up to sell your product for you, and then all you have to do is sit back, produce, and ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just most people go in, whether they go into, they may not be jumping into it. They may actually do the research, which we highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Do the research, because there's always something you're not accounting for.
Yeah.
So maybe there's 10 things involved in making sure you're getting your business, pretty much rolling, and you got 5 or 6 of them covered. It doesn't matter which 5 or 6. You just know you're going to take care of this. There's resources to cover all the. I mean,
And
you have to pay for them, but I mean, there's accounting, taxes, like you were talking about. There's any service you could possibly think of for the things you're not good at.
Well, and if you are looking for those resources, we can be part of that resource.
That's where I was getting to. I was going to make your
point.
point.
We have connections with, people in all types of industries. Or we can just give you some, if you're looking at starting a business and you don't know, hey, what are the hurdles that I'm going to cross? This is what I want to do. What are some of my options? We've been we've done a ton of research this year. We've spoken with small business owners. We're with our knowledge and then what we're learning from other businesses as well. We're starting to gain a good grasp on the things that you will run into as a small business to prepare for.
I think one of our strengths, like you said, we have many resources, and if we don't have a resource for it, we'll find you one. But I think one of our strengths would be marketing, because not only our knowledge, but it's a podcast. That's basically number one thing we could offer you. Yeah. And then we also had David Parada.
Yep.
He makes videos and promos and
promotions,
commercials. Anything you need. I mean, if you need something advertised or promoted, we can definitely help you on that.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely. Yeah, through a lot of avenues, like you said, with the podcast. Now we're on YouTube. We're with our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter page.
It's hard to find somewhere we're not at.
Yeah, and even with all the different social media outlets we have different audiences in all of them. Mm-hmm. Different age ranges, different genders, ethnicities. In every one of those is different. It's not the same group of people across all of them. So depending on what you're in and what you need, we can help you out on that for sure.
And even, we kind of teased it a little bit. We have another show coming down the pipes, a sports show. So we're even going to have that's going to be a whole slew of different audience criteria there. If, you kind of are going to make a deal with Next Gen Media to help go to, that's a platform you're going to use. And like I said, different shows, and podcasts.
All pretty much
platforms.
You would go across all platforms within Next Gen Media of any show, any current shows, future shows.
We have everything covered. If like I said, if you have an iPhone, you listen to Apple Podcasts. If you like Spotify, if you watch YouTube, if everything's linked up to Facebook. However, you don't even have to. It's not like we have to find the audience and target them. The way we use Anchor, it puts the link there, and however they want to listen or however they prefer to listen, it takes them straight to there. The way Anchor works. I know that's way off topic, but
No, you're exactly right. So if that's something you need, or you need the business help, let us know. Reach out to us on any of the social medias. You can private message any of us.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just for advertising. We're not just trying to sell advertising. Just questions, resource questions. We'll help you out. We're not going to charge you to answer a question or give you a contact.
And to be honest, we would really love those questions just for the content for the show.
Yeah, to help us know more about our audience.
Yeah, that's something big that kind of goes unnoticed with everything that we bring week in and week out with the podcast, is the research and the people that we talk to during the week to help build up some content for the show. And anybody else we can talk to, that just helps. That's more information that we have, and it helps us to learn as well, because there may be certain situations that we haven't run into yet that we just don't know. Not everyone knows everything.
Like I said, if it's easy to train somebody in a job on the basics, but there's stuff you just can't train until a certain situation comes up. And that just may be more research we do. And I'll tell you, we don't just Google business topics to figure out what we talk about. Every show or topic we think about, or whether it's Tony or I or even Tyler, we have somebody in mind or a business in mind that we're pointing that towards.
Yeah.
So maybe it's you talk to us, we get to know like, hey, what business do you run? You know, we know, and it may kick something in our
Yeah.
brain, and we do a show basically dedicated
Yeah.
to you. Not, you know, we may not say it's your show, but
Exactly.
But-
no, that's how every one of our shows
but we
have
give
been.
you a show that you feel like, hey man, they're talking straight to me. They're giving
Exactly.
me advice.
No, and I know that's happened on every show we've produced. Somebody's out there saying, "Man, that's something that,"
and they have
that's
no
me.
clue. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing the show on.
Yeah.
Like just about every show,
Exactly.
we're sitting here talking to somebody.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm glad you said it that you put it that way. That is, when we're talking about a specific topic, we are talking directly to the person that inspired us, brought it up, had the question. You know, we're talking to them directly, answering their question for them. So, if you have any questions like that, let us know, and that just continue
Yeah, and
this
if you-
snowball.
And maybe it's just, hey, can y'all do a show on this? That's happened before too. We've done episodes, and you know, give us your name and everything. We'll even tell you, hey, this show's for whoever.
Yeah.
It was their idea, and also make sure ask your parents, ask your boss,
Yeah.
about what we were talking about, how they feel about you running your own business, and let us know.
Yeah, and before we go,
Feedback on that.
let's tease this right here. This Business and Beyond hat. We're going to be doing some giveaways on these soon.
Oh, yeah.
So stay tuned.
And follow us on all of our platforms. We kind of already talked about them. But until next time, I'm Ashton.
And I'm Tony.
At the Business and Beyond podcast, you know we love to promote small businesses. It's what we do. One of those small businesses we support is Sense in the City. As a small Waco, Texas-based company, Sense in the City offers handcrafted candles, room sprays, wax melts, and car fresheners in a variety of scents. And don't worry, guys, they have scents for us too. We have a bourbon wax melt burning in the studio right now. To place your order, go to their website at senseinthecity.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Sense in the City. All of this information will be in the description box below. And be sure to mention you heard about them from the Business and Beyond podcast.